Just like many of you, I'm a massive NXT Black and Gold fan. I mean, the specials were so damn entertaining and produced some of the best wrestling matches I have ever seen. And for many fans, myself included, it saved pro wrestling. But what is the greatest NXT TakeOver match of all time? That's what we're going to figure out here today as we have this woo-foo-foo, I think that's how it's pronounced, I'm not too sure, this bracket right here that has 128 NXT TakeOver matches, and we need to figure out what the greatest one of all time is. It's pretty simple. We hit start, and we're going to have two matches to choose from. We either got Finn Balor versus Adrian Neville or Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne for the NXT UK Championship. And obviously, it would be the NXT UK Championship match. This one was phenomenal. But before we continue, make sure you leave a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn your notifications on as I upload wrestling videos every single day. So let's get into it. Here we go. Oh man, this is going to be interesting. All right, greatest NXT TakeOver matches of all time. We have Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship at NXT TakeOver Portland. That's a banger. But then we also have the NXT Tag Team Championship match between the Undisputed Era and the Broserweights. Don't get me wrong, the Broserweights were fun. This has got to be after the Dusty Rhodes Classic. I imagine this is when they won it and they got an opportunity at the NXT Tag Team Champions. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But this match right here, Cole versus Ciampa, the NXT Championship in Portland, it's a banger. Certified banger. Absolutely, that one's going ahead. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. This one right here, Ciampa versus Gargano Street Fight, is one of the better matches NXT has produced. It is one of the best feuds NXT has ever produced, and no random triple threat #1 contenders match for a War Games spot is going to top it. It is absolutely Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano in the street fight. This is going to be a crazy long video, so make sure you kick back, relax, and get some snacks, man. Holy. All right. Let's also maybe make this screen look a little better here. Well, let's do that right there. There we go. All right, we got the NXT North American title Fatal 5-Way Ladder Match. Good Lord. Cameron Grimes, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Jake TV, and Velveteen Dream, or Baron Corbin versus Rhino. This is early on NXT. If I remember correctly, this is like when Corbin was being built up and people were counting how long his matches were going to actually be. Like they would get to 30 seconds and he would pin them in no time. It was crazy. But I honestly can't remember what this match was like. To me, it's kind of a blank, but like, I don't think this one would top a 5-way ladder match. I'm just going to go ahead with this one here. I can't really remember it. Oh, man. Okay, so we got Drew McIntyre versus Andrade Cien Almas for the NXT title, or we got Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai. This is actually a banger of a feud, if I remember correctly. This is when Io turned, I believe, on Candice. I don't think this is the steel cage match that they had. I could be wrong, but this one I really, really remember. McIntyre and Andrade put on a banger. This one without a doubt. That was at War Games, if I'm not mistaken, was it not? Okay, damn. This is actually our first really difficult one right here. We have Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly at NXT TakeOver 36, the final NXT TakeOver show, by the way. Or we have Bobby Roode versus Andrade Cien Almas. Banger. This is at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and say the 2 out of 3 falls match between Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, because this is where Kyle O'Reilly felt like he was a star. Like his star power was through the roof at this point. And if NXT would have carried on with the black and gold version that we knew and loved, I bet you this dude was going right for the NXT championship. It was only a matter of time, right? So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that I think we got to go with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly. Yeah, this one makes a lot of sense. Damn, okay. I don't have a ton of memory of Asuka versus Emma. I know that this was on the rise of Asuka, or at the very least was when she was women's champion. It was one or the other. But Bobby Roode versus Drew McIntyre for the NXT championship. Just everything Drew McIntyre touched in NXT for a short period of time there was gold. It's this one. I don't think anybody's going to argue with me on that right there. Okay, how about this, though? We got ourselves the Fatal 5-Way match for the NXT Championship at NXT TakeOver In Your House. This was the little tongue-in-cheek thing when we were all trapped at home. The In Your House show came back, yada, 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 you know, tongue-in-cheek, 2021. Or We got Alpha, which is American Alpha, versus Rhino and Corbin, the Dusty Classic semifinals. I can't remember this. NXT Takeover Respect. I know I watched it because I started watching WWE Network stuff at NXT Takeover Arrival. Like literally, what was it? The NXT Network launched on February 24th, and I got watching NXT Arrival on February 27th. I watched it live. So I literally had the WWE Network right from the start, but I don't remember this. I'm going to go Fatal 5-Way match. Okay. Okay. This had so much hype. Joe versus Karrion Kross at NXT TakeOver 36. On the hype alone, I think I have to go with this matchup. I feel bad because I don't think I've picked a women's match yet, but there's so many good ones probably in here. I'm waiting for some better women's matches, I think, to really push the envelope. But I'm sorry, Mia Yim and Shayna Baszler ain't topping Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross. This match was a banger. The build-up was a banger as well. Again, the build-up was better than the actual match, but still crazy. It's crazy how good Karrion Kross was in NXT. Ridiculous, eh? Oh my god. Okay. Wow. Finn Balor versus Timothy Thatcher at NXT TakeOver 30, or Aleister Black versus Velveteen Dream. I gotta go Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream right here. And even though Velveteen Dream ended up no longer being in WWE system due to stuff, he still had bangers in NXT. Oh, he had the world at his fingertips. Like, a lot of people thought he was going to be the next big star. How are you going to do this to me? No way. Ciampa versus Gargano, NXT title last man standing, or Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano. Arguably one of the greatest NXT TakeOver matches ever. Oh, boys. Oh, this is a tough one. This ain't fair. This ain't fair, man. I gotta go with Andrade versus Johnny Gargano. For a moment, I was like, do I go last man standing? Because I loved that feud. But this might be the match that wins it all. It should be a lot further. It's just so unfortunate for Gargano and Ciampa that their last man standing match is ranked right there. All right. Okay. Big first round elimination for that one. Oh, dang, dude. This is a cool one. This is old NXT. Look at this. We got a young Charlotte Flair versus Natalya. This match was where Charlotte Flair arrived on the scene. A lot of people said Charlotte Flair was going to be a star after this match. Don't get me wrong. Blake and Murphy versus the Lucha Dragons. This was Kalisto and Sin Cara as the tag team Lucha Dragons. Great match. I remember it. This is where I was like, starting to get behind Blake and Murphy as the NXT Tag Team Champions. And in fact, I believe, did the Lucha Dragons take the title from them there? Okay, so it looks like they defeated the Lucha Dragons at NXT TakeOver Rival for a rematch for the titles. So that's all this says right here. It's not memorable enough. All right, it doesn't really matter. You can see right back here, Rival is in the background. So this is the NXT TakeOver Rival match. Lucha Dragons lost to Blake and Murphy. But anyways, this is Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair absolutely deserves to advance there. That Natalya match was insane. Oh, wow. Okay, some great tag team action right here. NXT TakeOver Alpha versus Revival, or Blake and Murphy versus Vaude Villains. This gives me nostalgia right here, Blake and Murphy versus Vaude Villains, but there is no question in my mind that Revival versus American Alpha is the better match of the two. There's no question at all. Oh, damn, dude. Cole versus Dream for the NXT Championship Backlot Brawl, or Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship in London. Look, it's pretty simple. All right, I don't think many people are going to question this. It's Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship in London. It was just a fantastic match. Now we got a War Games match right here. It's Sanity and AOP and Strong versus the Undisputed Era, or we got Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship. This right here is one of my favorite eras of NXT. Joe and Nakamura near the top of the card fighting over that NXT Championship. It's this one, without question. without question. Was that NXT Takeover Toronto as well? I believe it was. I saw that thing live, without question. Then we got ourselves the NXT Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way match. Shayna, who is that? Oh my God, it's Io Shirai. Okay, wow, Io's changed quite a bit. So Shayna, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kairi Sane in the Fatal 4-Way match for the NXT Women's Championship. Or we got Revival versus Enzo and Cass for the NXT Tag Team titles. I'm going to give this to the Fatal 4-Way. If I recall, this was a banger of a match as well. Usually a lot of the women's multi-person matchups, you know, when they have a triple threat or a Fatal 4-Way or something like that, they usually knocked it out of the park. Oh, this is insane. Walter versus Ilya Dragunov for the NXT UK Championship, or Austin Aries versus Shinsuke Nakamura. All love to Aries and Nakamura. They put on a great matchup, but it's Ilya and Walter. Are you kidding me? Not even close. Kushida versus Pete Dunne at Stand and Deliver. Okay, kind of forgot that matchup happened. Or Raquel Gonzalez versus Dakota Kai for the women's title. Dude, NXT TakeOver 36 absolutely cooked. Why did we ever go away from black and gold? I don't get it. 36 absolutely was a fire show. Damn. Ho! Gargano versus Jake TV, or the women's championship fatal 4-way match. I believe this is Sasha, Charlotte, Bayley, and Becky, right? At Arrival? Okay, so it was at NXT Rival. This is where the fatal 4-way match ended up happening. What was the result again? It was this where, it's got to be where Sasha won the title, right? This has got to be where Sasha Banks won the championship. Yes, it most certainly is. Okay, very, very cool moment right here for Sasha Banks. Look, sorry, Jake TV. I love your work, but it's going to be this one, the Fatal 4-Way match. You got to give some credit to that one. Corbin and Rhino versus Joe and Ballard, the Dusty Classic final. Hey, not a bad matchup, actually. Very strong matchup. But look, look, we got Team Ripley versus Team Baszler in a War Games match. It's not even close. I'm sorry. Not even close. Mustache Mountain versus Undisputed Era. This match was insane. Oh, but so was this. Aleister Black versus Adam Cole, baby. Extreme Rules match. Good Lord. Oh, I always have a tough time giving a tag team match a better rating than a singles match. I don't know what it is. It's probably just because there's more people in a tag team match, and it makes it feel like there's more time for the person to rest on the outside of the ring or take a little bit of a breather, as opposed to a singles match. You're just there. It's just the two of you. The spotlight is on you for the entire match. Adam Cole and Aleister Black, like, how can you not love this match? I got to give it to them. Okay, Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals. We had NXT Vengeance Day. Is that right? Is that the matchup? I have zero memory of this one. It's Dakota and Raquel versus Shotzi and Ember. No memory. Sorry. It's gotta be Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura. Is this Brooklyn? Looks like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that's the matchup right there that we're going with. Oh, come on! Not even close. Pete Dunne versus Walter, NXT UK Championship, where Walter ended Pete Dunne's crazy run at the top. Yeah, other than that, it's Sanity versus Ono, Strong, Dillinger, and Riot. I have zero memory of that at all. So there you go. Boom. Shoot, dude. Oh, okay. We got two singles matchups right here. Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship, or Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane for the NXT Women's title. Damn, both really good matchups, actually. I loved this feud between these two. Kross had a great showing. This was on his rise up the card. I believe he took the NXT title away from Balor here. If he didn't, he won it very, very shortly after. But I'm going to go ahead and say Shayna versus Kairi. I love their feud that they have. I really do. The fact that they faced off against each other in the Mae Young Classic and they continued on in NXT, a really strong feud. Oh, both great matchups. Come on, this ain't fair. Oh, shoot. Both really, really fun. Cameron Grimes. Hey, I'm Cameron Grimes. I'm going to the moon. Hey, I'm Cameron Grimes. Versus LA Knight, yeah. Or Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship. Dude. Tough one. Tough one. This $1 million title ladder match right here was just incredibly fun to watch. The entire feud, the build, everything around it, having the $1 million men Ted DiBiase involved with it, made this feel like a massive matchup. However, Joe versus Balor is peak NXT, isn't it? Like, these feuds, there's certain feuds in NXT that you just remember from the black and gold era, and you're like, yep, that was a defining feud. And Finn Balor Samoa Joe was a defining feud for NXT. I might go on a bold call right here, though. I have more memory of the ladder match than I do of the Dallas Takeover match. So people might not love this pick. It might be off base, but because I have my memory, and it's honestly, my memory is like that of a goldfish. It's so freaking tiny. We're just going to go with the ladder match. I love this one. Why not? It's my list. Oh, damn. This spot right here. This tells us all we need to know. Adam Cole versus Ricochet for the NXT North American title. Look, Bobby Roode, Hideo Itami for the NXT Championship. Fine enough matchup, but that isn't like the peak of NXT by any means. This is just on Roode's rise to the top. It is Adam Cole versus Ricochet, NXT North American title, without a doubt. Okay. A little tougher right here. Roderick Strong versus E. Young, or the Lucha Dragons versus the Vaudevillains for the NXT Tag Team titles. Our Evolution. You know what, guys? I'm going with the tag team match over the singles match right here. I really did enjoy Lucha Dragons and Vaudevillains in NXT. This would have been one of those great matches they had. Right there. We're rolling with it. Then we go, oh my goodness, man. Apollo Crews versus Ty Dillinger. Okay. Or the Profits versus Undisputed Era. The Street Profits were just rolling through NXT at this point. Like, they were the team. They were the guys. Without a doubt. Oh, geez, man. Okay, for a second, I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, I don't remember the matchups. And then I was like, no, I remember this one. Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic was just a fantastic feud. The two big men doing things that big men shouldn't be able to do in that ring. It was mind-blowing to watch live. It's mind-blowing to go back and watch it at a later time. This is the match that's going to advance. All love to Raquel and Ember Moon. NXT TakeOver in Your House 2021 was an okay pay-per-view, but this right here, Portland, oh my god, one of the greatest NXT matches they've ever put together. Damn, dude. Okay, I forgot about this one. We have Leon Ruff, the North American champion. Leon Ruff, he was getting his own 1-2-3 kid moment in this story, versus Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano. Triple threat. This was a fun match, if I remember correctly. It was weird to see Johnny Gargano being positioned as like not the underdog of the match. Leon Ruff was the underdog. Crazy. But then we also have Samoa Joe versus Baron Corbin over here. I gotta give it to the triple threat. This one was a fun matchup. Even though Leon Ruff didn't stick around for that long in NXT, he did have a fun run when he was there. And certainly it was fun enough as he was North American champion. So let's roll into this one. Why not? Oh, wow. Okay, a couple of the middle of the card matchups, some rivalry matchups. Cassius Ohno versus Lars Sullivan, or Aleister Black versus Hideo Itami. I'm going to be honest, I have very little memory of either of these matches. I remember the feuds happening between the two of them, but the matchups themselves are kind of forgettable. I feel like Black versus Hideo was a lot harder hitting and a lot more impressive than Cassius Ohno versus Lars Sullivan, because I feel like Lars Sullivan and Cassius Ohno was just there to put over Lars Sullivan and to make Lars look like a freak. I'm going to go ahead and say it's Hideo versus Black. I think that's the right call. Oh, shoot. Oh, man. This is a really tough one. Okay. Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa at NXT Stand and Deliver. This match cooked. This is like the old guard versus the new guard coming in at the time, which is crazy to say because look at Ciampa's hair at the time, and now he looks like he's lost 15 years of age when he's on Monday Night Raw. Whatever hair dye they gave that man, it looks great. But over here, Bronson Reed and MSK versus Legado del Fantasma in a winner-take-all match. Good as well, but this one was a true banger. At Stand and Deliver, they stood and they delivered, and they're advancing in this tournament. Okay. Now we got ourselves TM61 versus Authors of Pain in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals, or we got Dana Brooke versus Asuka. I saw this thing live. I was there for this matchup. It was very fun. TM61 AOP Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals. Because I was there, gonna give that the dub. Oh, okay. AOP versus Revival versus DIY for the tag team titles. Again, another banger. This is when NXT's tag division was on fire. Or Velveteen Dream versus Tyler Breeze for the NXT North American title. This is actually a strong match if I remember correctly, but I gotta go the tag matches here. Okay, Shotzi and Moon versus The Way for the women's tag team titles. Totally forgot that Shotzi and Ember Moon were women's tag team champions, my goodness. Or we've got Asuka versus Ember Moon for the NXT women's title. Oh my god, one of the greatest women's matches in NXT history. Not even remotely close right there. That one is advancing without a doubt in my mind. Oh, this one's also super easy. Sorry to Mercedes and Xia Li, but it's Ricochet and Velveteen Dream. This matchup, this feud, everything about it. This was when they did the whole Ricochet jumping over the top rope and landing on his feet, staring down Velveteen Dream. Just a crazy cool build, and the matchup itself delivered. Oh man, Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee, or Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno. It's got to be Pat McAfee and Adam Cole. This one was such a surprise to everybody watching. Going into it, we're like, is Pat McAfee going to be able to actually wrestle a solid match? Like, what will he put together? And he did. He put together a great matchup. It was entertaining AF. The whole feud was entertaining as could be, and it's what kind of introduced Pat McAfee to the world of professional wrestling. This guy showed up, he fell in love with the business, and then made his way up to the main roster. But you don't get there without Adam Cole and Pat McAfee putting on this banger. So this one, without a doubt, this is my choice. Okay, we got Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's title, or we got Asuka versus Ruby Riott versus Nikki Cross for the NXT Women's Championship. Both great matchups, but Shayna and Io, when they were in the ring one-on-one, especially with Shayna from NXT, their matches were fire. I love that matchup. It's without a doubt moving on to the next round. Oh, man. Okay, OG fans of NXT Black and Gold are going to want me to pick this one right here. Sami Zayn versus Tyler Breeze. This is like the pinnacle of early NXT. Just two guys that you fell in love with, that you just wanted to see win. One was a great heel, one was a great babyface. The matchup, the dynamic was perfection. The crowd was on fire for it. Everything about this match screams NXT Black and Gold. However, then you fast forward to what was like the pinnacle of NXT Black and Gold. In many ways, Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano are the two faces of NXT. They are the people that you think of when you think of Black and Gold. And this was a 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT Championship at NXT Takeover New York. Look, all love to Sammy and Tyler, but you gotta give it to the 2 out of 3 falls match. You just have to. This is kind of wild. Ascension versus Kalisto and Local? Did Kalisto just have like a local talent guy team with him to go up against the Ascension for the NXT Tag Team titles? What? I do not remember this. Emma and Dana Brooke versus Bayley and Charlotte. I'm gonna give it to them just because like I don't remember that other one right there. Who was the local talent? Interesting. We got Dexter Lumis versus Cameron Grimes in a strap match at War Games, or we got Ty Dillinger versus Andrade Cien Almas. Two matchups that are unfortunately kind of forgettable. I think this was during the run of Andrade when he was really putting on just excellent matches in NXT, and Ty Dillinger was also getting some great reactions. So I'm going to go ahead and say Ty versus Andrade, but again, just not the most memorable matchups that we just voted on right there. How about this, though? These are pretty memorable. AOP versus DIY for the NXT Tag Team titles in a ladder match. Oh my god, that was so much fun to watch. And then we also had Asuka versus Mickie James for the NXT Women's Championship, again at NXT TakeOver Toronto. This right here, going into TakeOver Toronto, I was really hoping it was going to be Trish Stratus. There was rumors at the time that Trish was maybe going to come back to pro wrestling. and then it ended up being Mickie James. And no disrespect to Mickie, she is fantastic, but when you're in Toronto and you're hoping for a Trish Stratus return, and then it gets revealed, what, I think a week or two, maybe 3 weeks before that, it's Mickie and you already got your tickets. It was a little bit of a letdown, but the match itself was not. The match was fantastic, and I have such a bright, vivid memory of it during Asuka's great run as NXT Women's Champion. This kicked it off, and I just got to go with this. It's got to be Asuka and Mickie. Okay, tough one right here. Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly for the NXT Championship, or just a random match between Baron Corbin and CJ Parker, the now Juice Robinson in AEW. This was a burial, wasn't it? This was like almost a straight up burial of Juice Robinson, if I remember correctly. I can't give a burial a match over a NXT Championship matchup between Kyle and Finn Balor. Got to go with this one. Very good match. Okay, Johnny Gargano versus Kushida at NXT Vengeance Day, or, oh, come on, Asuka versus Bayley. It's Asuka and Bayley in NXT at NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2. It's Asuka and Bayley. Oh, man. Okay. All right. Jeez. Really? Really? This is what you're going to do to me? You're going to go Cole versus Gargano NXT Takeover title? NXT Takeover title match, 2 out of 3 falls, Toronto, or Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae? Come on. Come on. I got the bias in me because I went to this event, but like still, tough. Very tough. Dude, we've got MSK versus Grizzled Young Vets versus Legado del Fantasma for the tag team titles, or Team Shotzi versus Team Candice in War Games. You gotta go with the War Games match. You gotta go with the War Games one. That's a lot of talent. Too good. You have to. Okay, Rude versus Nakamura for the NXT Championship in Orlando, or Asuka versus Nia Jax. I'm gonna go Rude versus Nakamura. I thought Nia Jax had a good run in NXT, but like this was the better match of the two, I would say. Interesting right here. Matt Riddle versus Roderick Strong, or Billie Kay versus Ember Moon. I don't really remember either match, but just looking at the talent, I think Riddle and Strong put on a banger, and I think Billie Kay and Ember Moon put on a good match, but I may be wrong. I don't know. I'm just going to guess. I'm going to go with my gut and say Riddle versus Roderick Strong, but I don't have a memory of those matches. Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai, I remember, or Velveteen Dream versus Cassius Ohno. This had so much heat from it, with Dakota turning on Tegan in the War Games match. Look, Cassius Ohno had a good, fun run. So did Velveteen Dream, but this one had heat behind it. It's memorable, damn it. Austin Aries versus Baron Corbin, or Eric Young versus Ty Dillinger. I actually have quite a bit of memory of this match right here for some reason. I can't remember who won, but I do remember watching this thing and thinking it was a fun, entertaining matchup. Eric Young and Ty Dillinger sounds like it would be good. I don't know if this was in NXT TakeOver Toronto, or if this was a Canadian match or something like that, because like, well, they're both Canadian, but I'm going to go with Austin Aries and Baron Corbin. Oh, what are you doing to me? Holy cow. Charlotte versus Sasha Banks for the NXT Women's Championship, or Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair at Portland. Oh, you know what? All love to Charlotte and Sasha, but these two elevated the game. When Rhea and Bianca stepped in that ring in Portland, it was so incredibly fun to watch. Both women arrived on the scene. That is the one for me. Oh my God. Oh, yo. Oh, Shayna and Bianca. Oh, dude, this ain't fair. I'm so sorry, Shayna and Bianca, but we are talking about literally, arguably, the greatest NXT women's match in history, and a top 5 women's match in WWE history, in my opinion. This is Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship. We gotta go with that. We gotta go with that. Velveteen Dream versus Matt Riddle, or Blake and Murphy versus Enzo and Cass for the NXT Tag Team titles. I'm gonna hit him with the Dream and Riddle matchup. North American title, that was pretty good. How about Bull Dempsey versus Baron Corbin? Dude, I forgot about Bull Dempsey. Bull! Or Tommaso Ciampa versus Aleister Black at Phoenix. Look. Baron Corbin and Bull Dempsey, they put on a fun enough match. If I remember correctly, it was hard hitting, but this was all about building up Baron Corbin, and his matches were always just good. Nothing great in NXT, in my opinion. And that's not a shot at Corbin. That's just how it was. But Ciampa and Black was great. It really was one of the greater NXT matches that they've ever produced. So we're going to put that one in this bracket. We've got Moon versus Baszler, or we got Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship at, what is that, 25? Takeover 25. Look, again, anytime you see Gargano and Cole fight, you got to give it to them. Their chemistry in the ring was insanely good. EC3 versus Velveteen Dream, or Undisputed Era versus Authors of Pain. I'm going to give it to the Undisputed Era and Authors of Pain here. I like that matchup. That was prime tag team in NXT. Then we got Andrade versus Aleister Black. Damn, dude. Or Oscar. Oh, this one was really good too. Oh, shoot. You know what? Maybe a controversial pick right here, but I think Asuka, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, and Nikki Cross, their story in this Fatal 4-Way match was just phenomenal. Andrade and Aleister Black put on a great wrestling match, but the story of this match was better. I'm going with this one, the Fatal 4-Way. All right. Wait, hang on. Earlier, was this... Oh, no, wait. Was this the $1 million ladder match? Wait. Was the TakeOver 36 one not the $1 million ladder match? Oh, my God. Oh, shoot. Wow, I completely blanked on that. So the one we voted on earlier was actually if Grimes lost, DiBiase would become Knight's butler. That's what this was. Okay. But was it the other way around? If hang on. No, then Grimes took on the butler role. I can't remember. Something about the butler came around at that point. Then this led to this match right here for the $1 million title, right? Oh, God. Well, anyways, I can't give it to... No, I can't give it to Camacho. I can't give it to Tongaloa. I just can't. Okay. Oh, my God. That's freaking hilarious. Where's the eye patch? Editor, can you put an eye patch on him right now? Thank you. All right. That is awesome right here. We got ourselves the $1 million title ladder match, or the Eye Patch King versus Adam Rose. Look, it's still this one, but that's crazy that earlier I misremembered what that match was. Good Lord. We got Keith Lee versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American title, or Nakamura versus Rude for the NXT Championship. This was a fun match. This was a great match. Nakamura and Rude at the top of the card crushed it. Mojo Rawley versus Bull Dempsey, or Kevin Owens versus CJ Parker. That is Kevin Owens' debut, and Mojo Rawley Bull Dempsey is really forgettable. This, on the other hand, is not. I still remember Kevin Owens breaking his nose in this matchup. I still remember the anticipation of his debut. Showing up on a TakeOver event is crazy cool, making your debut that way. It's Kevin Owens versus CJ Parker, without a doubt. All right, Enzo Amore versus Sylvester Lafort, hair versus hair match. I forgot about that. Oh man, that is a throwback and a half. Good Lord. Or we've got Cross versus Moon versus Royce versus Sane for the NXT Women's title. Look, I somehow remember this thing, but I know why I remember it. Because I remember watching it and thinking, how the hell is this on a pay-per-view? So we're going Cross versus Moon versus Royce right here. Okay, next up, we got Shotzi, Yim, and Nox versus Gonzalez, Kai, and LeRae. Good 6-woman tag match. Or we got the hard-hitting, brutal matchup between Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. I think you guys will agree with that. Authors of Pain versus Sanity for the NXT Tag Team titles, or Undisputed... Oh, this is the one right here. If you haven't gone out of your way to check out Undisputed Era versus Danny Lorcan and... Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, you need to. You definitely need to go check this match out. It is a phenomenal tag team match. Hard-hitting, and it is like almost peak Undisputed Era in their tag team wrestling. Here we go. Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez for the NXT Women's title, or Io Shirai versus Dakota Kai for the NXT Women's title. Both great matchups. This match was better of the two, and there's a reason why it was on Stand and Deliver versus this one being on NXT TakeOver 30. Dakota Kai, great in the ring, love what she does, but this dynamic of Shirai and Gonzalez was fantastic. It's got to be this one. Okay, here we go. So it looks like we're on the rounds of 64 now. So the first round is completely done. That took a long time to get here, but I hope you guys are still here. Make sure you leave that like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're rolling on now. Here we go. Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee. We're going to try to make this as quick as possible to go through because we've already broken down a lot of the matchups. So I'll go with Adam Cole, Pat McAfee. Rude versus Nakamura or Ty Dillinger versus Andrade Cien Almas. I'm going to go Rude versus Nakamura in Orlando. That was solid. Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai or Lucha Dragons versus Vaudevillains. I got to go Shayna versus Io. Sasha versus Bailey or Natalya versus Charlotte. Damn, that's not fair. Sorry, Natalya. Sorry, Charlotte. Very influential matchup, but you got to go Banks and Bailey. You just gotta. Profits and Undisputed Era or Asuka versus Ember Moon. Again, this was a fantastic match. One of the better women's matches that NXT has ever produced. I think it edges out the tag team title match. We're going to go with this one. Then we got Bobby Roode versus Drew McIntyre for the NXT Championship or Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe in London. I'm going to go Joe versus Balor in London. Dijakovic, Lee, or McIntyre versus Andrade. Two phenomenal matchups, but I got to go with the big men right here. That match was just incredible. Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream or Karrion Kross versus Samoa Joe. Damn, that's really tough. I think I got to go with Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream. I think I got to go with that one. That's a tough one, though. Tommaso Ciampa versus Aleister Black for the NXT title or Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane. I'm going to go Ciampa versus Black. And then we got the Fatal 5-Way NXT Championship match or Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne. This one is one of my absolute favorites of all time, guys, from NXT. Look, this put the NXT UK title on the map. You got to go with this. Bate Dunne, going to get that dub. Velveteen Dream versus Matt Riddle or Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly. I'm going to go Cole versus O'Reilly at 36. Nakamura versus Joe at NXT Takeover Toronto. Watching that live. Again, it puts it a little bit higher for me because I actually saw it in person. So we're going with this one. Asuka versus Mickie James or Samoa Joe versus Shinsuke again. I'm going to go with Asuka Mickie. I loved it. Again, my personal bias of being there, but it is what it is. How about Cole oh my God. No. Cole versus Gargano NXT title, 2 out of 3 falls, or Ciampa versus Gargano street fight. I'm sorry, but I can't give it to the Toronto matchup. You got to go Ciampa versus Gargano street fight. What a bracket. Holy. Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa or Asuka versus Bailey for the women's title. I'm going to go Cole versus Ciampa. This match was fantastic, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to go Cole versus Ciampa. Couple multi-man matches. Okay, Ruff, Priest, Gargano, or the title in a ladder match. I don't have a ton of memory of this match, so I got to go with the triple threat. I got to go with the one that I'm remembering. Walter versus Ciampa or Kevin Owens versus CJ Parker. You can't give it to Kevin Owens Parker. This is like essentially just an enhancement match for Kevin Owens. It's got to be Walter Ciampa, which was such a hard-hitting matchup. So good. Pete Dunne versus Walter. Goodness me. Or the match that I saw in person, TM61 versus AOP. I'm going to go ahead and say it's Pete Dunne versus Walter. It's one of the greatest matchups you'll ever see. Just Pete Dunne and Walter lit it up that night. Black and Dream or Nox and Dakota Kai? I'm going to go Nox and Dakota Kai here. Again, I love that rivalry between those guys. Gargano and Cole, 2 out of 3 falls in New York. Or Ripley versus Baszler War Games match. The War Games match, I think... Oh, no, it doesn't. Hang on. The Takeover New York, 2 out of 3 falls at... Nah, you got to go with this one. You got to go with that one. Okay, Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole NXT Championship. Takeover 25 or Baron Corbin versus Austin Aries. You got to go Takeover 25. Then AOP versus Revival versus DIY or Asuka versus Kay versus Royce versus Cross. I'm going with the women's match. That one was really fun. Really entertaining. We got Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight for the $1 million title. Again, I think, so this would have been the follow-up to the ladder match. So the ladder match started and then he became the... I don't freaking know. Anyways, I don't have much of a memory of when that happened, where, but it certainly doesn't beat out Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano. This is one of the greatest NXT title matches of all time, so we got to go there. Emma and Dana Brooke versus Bayley and Charlotte, or Adam Cole versus Ricochet. You guys know the pick. It's this one, Cole Ricochet. Shotzi versus Team Candice, or a random Tommaso Ciampa Timothy Thatcher match. Pretty easy. War Games, absolutely. Then we got Black versus Hideo Itami, or the NXT Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way match. I'm going to go with the Fatal 4-Way. I have a pretty good memory of that one. And then oh, wow. Okay, Walter versus Ilya Dragunov. You got to go Walter, Ilya Dragunov. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, or Cross versus Moon versus Royce versus Sane. Did we just... Anyways, I prefer Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. Oh, that's a different match. Okay, that's a different match. Yeah, okay. For a second, I'm like, what the hell? Did we not just vote on that? But no, we got to go the Portland match between Rhea and Bianca. Then Raquel versus Dakota, or Io versus Raquel. You have the heat right here between the two, but the dynamic was better in this matchup, so I'm going to go here with them. And then we've got the $1 Million title ladder match, or Undisputed versus Authors of Pain. I'm going to go $1 Million title ladder match. That one was a lot of fun. I remember watching that. I just couldn't remember the story, apparently. Oh, the tag match right here. I'm going to go Undisputed Era versus Lorcan and Birch. That match was really phenomenal. Okay, and then in the final round of 64, Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly, or Aleister Black versus Adam Cole. Man, make me pick. Tough pick. Aleister Black versus Adam Cole Extreme Rules match. All right, round of 32. This is going to get really difficult now. We are deep into this video, but here we go. Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. Asuka versus Mickie James. I got to go Rhea versus Bianca. Fantastic Portland match. Raquel versus Io, or Asuka versus Kay versus Royce versus Cross. I'm going to go with the Fatal 4-Way match. Again, the dynamic of that match was incredible. Walter versus Ciampa, or Ciampa versus Black. Oh, that's not fair. That is not fair, dude. Okay. There was something about Walter's run in NXT that was just like the aura around him. There was a certain aura around Walter matches, and I think he's continued to bring that aura up with him to the main roster, because every time anybody steps to Gunther, you think, wow, this is going to be a crazy hard-hitting match. And that's exactly what I thought going into this one. It's got to be Walter versus Ciampa. Ricochet Dream, or Undisputed Era versus Lorcan and Birch. You know what? It really is that good of a tag match. It really is that good. I'm going to go Undisputed Era, Lorcan and Birch. Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, or Asuka versus Ember Moon. Damn! Oh, dude, that's not fair as well. How am I supposed to choose? How am I supposed to make a choice between these two matches? Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, one of the best big man matches in NXT history. Hell, I'll even say WWE history. Just fantastic. And then Asuka, Ember Moon, something that put the women's division on the map, told us that the future of the women's division was super bright, that the development down in NXT was working. Oh man, that's so tough. Can I pick both? Am I allowed to pick both somehow? No, don't think so. All right. I gotta go with Dominik Dijakovic versus Keith Lee. The big man match was just incredible. It really was. Ruff versus Priest versus Gargano, or Rude versus Nakamura? I'm going Rude versus Nakamura. I think we can get rid of the triple threat match now. I think that's more than okay. Damn, dude. As much as I'd love to see Adam Cole and Pat McAfee go on further, we're talking about one of the greatest in-ring matches I've ever seen. Andrade versus Johnny. You gotta go Andrade Johnny. Okay, $1 Million title ladder match, or Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship. Pretty easy, pretty simple. We'll drop that in there. Cole versus O'Reilly, or Dunn versus Walter. Actually a little tougher than I thought it would be. My mind immediately went to saying Pete Dunne Walter, but this also was when Kyle O'Reilly looked like he was about to break through into the main event scene. I'm going to give it to Walter because I feel like this win is more significant in the overall history of WWE than this win for Kyle O'Reilly. Because Kyle was just kind of shoved down the card when NXT 2.0 came around, and then he was eventually let go, or his contract, and I don't know I don't know the details behind his contract, but still, he was either gone from WWE, let go, fired, whatever, asked for his release. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say we got to go with Walter. Okay. Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne or Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. Okay. Personal bias has to be out the window here. This is an freaking amazing match right here. You got to go with it. Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne. Got to go with it. Yeah, got to go with it. Okay, Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai or Gargano versus Cole. 2 out of 3 falls. I got to go Gargano versus Cole. Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with me on that one. Oh, man. Think the street fight over Adam Cole Ciampa? I think you got to go Ciampa versus Gargano. That's a tough one, though, man. You got to go street fight. It's so memorable. Walter versus Ilya Dragunov or Black versus Adam Cole. 2 incredibly hard-hitting matches. But again, something so special about Ilya Dragunov and Walter when they get in that ring together. Got to go with this match. Gargano, Adam Cole, NXT Championship or Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. Takeover 25 or London. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Let's go Takeover London. Let's go London. That match was fun. Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's title or Adam Cole versus Ricochet. This NXT North American title match is so memorable. Just incredibly memorable. I'm going with that. And then we got Shotzi versus Team Candice or the NXT Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way match. I'm going to let nostalgia... Oh, it's either... War Games are really, really fun to watch, though, aren't they? They get a lot of action. There's a lot of cool moments in it. But this was just a straight up... The 4 horsewomen in a match together. The 4 horsewomen. You got to go with the 4 horsewomen together. All right. Rhea and Bianca versus Asuka, Kay, Royce, and Cross. I'm going to go Rhea versus Bianca at Portland. Okay, Walter versus Ciampa or Bate versus Dunne. Oh, no. Really? Oh, come on. I think Bate versus Dunne just beats out Walter versus Ciampa. I think it does. Okay. Jeez, though, that is a tough one. These are all going to be difficult. Dunne versus Walter or Undisputed Era versus Lorcan and Birch. God, this match was incredible as well. I think I got to go with the singles match over the tag here. I'm sorry, this tag match deserves to advance another round, I would say, but I don't think I can give them the win over Dunne and Walter. I just don't think I can. All right, Ciampa and Gargano in the street fight are Andrade versus Gargano. Oh my God. Holy wow, what would you do? What would you do in this situation? How do you pick between these two matches? This is the toughest decision I've had to make yet. Ciampa, Gargano street fight, or Cien Almas and Gargano for the NXT title. As a pure wrestling match, Andrade and Gargano hit some notes that I've never seen in wrestling before. The kickouts from Gargano in this matchup were insane. The kickouts from Andrade in this matchup were insane. The moments that we had in this matchup with the double knees into the post right there, crazy. But the street fight just pushed the limits of what we saw in NXT, and it was two of the best performers we have ever seen in NXT history coming to blows, former brothers in the tag team DIY, driven to personal hatred in this matchup. God, it's such a tough one. I gotta go with the pure in-ring wrestling match over the weapons match, though. Okay? Gotta go with the pure in-ring wrestling. This one was so good. So good. Okay, Rude Nakamura or Sasha Banks oh my God. Sasha Banks Bailey. Sasha Banks Bailey, NXT Women's Championship match, yeah. Walter versus Ilya or Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. Okay. Jeez, man. Oh, God. Why is this so tough? We gotta go Ilya and Walter. All right. Keith Lee, Dominic Dijakovic, or Gargano versus Cole, 2 out of 3 falls. Man, they're not making this easy anymore. I think people are going to find this very controversial. But when I think back to these matches, these two matches right here, my mind, when I'm looking at the two images, goes to Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic. And I think it's because the stuff we saw in that matchup was so unexpected. Unless you watch them on the indies, it was so unexpected. We didn't know what to expect going into this one. I'm going with the big man matchup. Now, people might not agree with me, but it's my list. Adam Cole versus Ricochet, or the NXT Championship Fatal 4-Way match. The Four Horsewomen or Adam Cole Ricochet. Sorry, ladies. Adam Cole Ricochet is going to get my vote right here. We are down to the round of 8. Holy. Walter Ilya Dragunov or Banks versus Bayley. Still got to go Banks versus Bayley. We got Rhea and Bianca versus, or Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne. I got to go Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne. I really do. We got Pete Dunne versus Walter, Adam Cole versus Ricochet. Oh my gosh. You know what? You know what? Screw it. I really did enjoy this match more. Adam Cole Ricochet for the NXT North American title was fantastic. And then Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, or Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano. This one isn't as tough for me anymore. I feel like they've reached their perfect spot in this ranking, in this tournament. But now this is absolutely Andrade versus Johnny Gargano. Okay, rounds of 4. Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne, or Sasha Banks versus Bayley. Look, when we're comparing one of the greatest women's matches I've ever seen, one of the most influential women's matches I've ever seen, versus a matchup that was middle of the card at, I want to say Chicago, TakeOver Chicago. Don't get me wrong, fan-freaking-tastic match, absolutely incredible. Watch it 10 times out of 10, would watch again, but it's gotta be this one. So memorable. Oh, Adam Cole Ricochet North American title, or Andrade Cien Almas Johnny Gargano NXT title. Oh my God, this one's got to go up against Bayley and Sasha Banks. You know what? Let's give it the justice it deserves, okay? Andrade and Johnny versus Sasha Banks and Bayley. In my opinion, these probably should rank up there as the greatest men's match and the greatest women's match in NXT history. I think a lot, at least when it comes to in-ring performance, these matches will live the test of time. They really will. So, now the question is, which one was better? Which one do we consider the GOAT of NXT TakeOver title matches? NXT TakeOver matches. We've got Andrade Cien Almas, Johnny Gargano, NXT title match, or Sasha Banks Bayley NXT Women's Championship matchup. Now, part of me is leaning towards this. And the reason why I'm leaning towards Sasha Banks and Bayley is because of just how influential this matchup was to not just NXT, but to all of pro wrestling. It really introduced what these ladies can do in the ring, and it unlocked this whole new wave of potential, and it opened WWE's eyes, especially in the developmental system, to recruit with the women's division and make the women's division matter. Make it feel so important, because what these two did in the ring, you know other people were watching. You know the moment that they saw that match, they're like, that is where I want to be. There was young girls watching that match who are probably getting into pro wrestling today because of it. However, on the other side of things, Andrade Cien Almas and Johnny Gargano opened our eyes to what the NXT style could be. And that was a more of an indie with a WWE style mixed together. These two brought it in this matchup. The near falls were insane. They were really, really well done. And Johnny Gargano's resilience was on full display in this matchup. Andrade became a made man in this one. Johnny Gargano won over our hearts. But in the end, there is very few moments in NXT history as memorable as Bayley winning the NXT title. I mean, this image right here is one of the most iconic images in NXT history, with Bayley raising the title over her head, tears dripping down her face. Like, how can that not be the winner? When we really break it down, my mind goes to just a couple of matches in NXT history when I think of the most influential, important matchups and the greatest matchups of all time. Things that made me say, wow, I love pro wrestling. And seeing Bayley hold on to that title over her head after beating Sasha Banks, man, I don't think anybody is going to fault me by saying this. In my opinion, the greatest NXT Takeover match of all time is Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship. Hey, we got 700 XP, let's go. But that's my bracket for the greatest NXT Takeover matches of all time. Make sure you let me know which one you thought is the greatest down in the comments below, and I will be open to hearing all of your suggestions as to why one match was better than another. Remember, this is pro wrestling and it's all subjective to the viewer, so if you have a different opinion than I do, that's great. Let me know yours in the comments, and I look forward to reading them all. So make sure you leave a like on this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.